Hello and welcome to the Benzo Rehab Dungeon. It is the 14th of January 2022. This is episode 75, titled it Assorted Topics, and then today's date. My name is Michael Deebs and I'm the host. I am joined as always by Danko Suvin from the Instagram handle @DankDeluz, and also John, the producer, from the Instagram handle @Discopathic. Danko, how you doing, bud?
There's a lot going on with me right now. First would be that I can't believe we're finally 3/4 of the way there. Because we did promise everyone that once we hit 100,
Oh, yeah,
yeah. But also, you name episodes before we record them?
This is the first time.
No, I do it all. Well, I just did it this time because it's not very clever or unique or anything.
Yeah, so it's like it's an anti-joke.
But in order to like have a graphic for the YouTube ahead of time, I necessarily have to kind of.
Well, I guess that actually ends up bringing me to.
Do you have a follow-up question?
Not a question, but kind of a general philosophical statement.
Oh, okay.
Which is that I'm really kind of offended by the techno-determinism involved in this.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be something like that. Either some kind of determinism or what's the other one?
Robot bad.
No, Hyperstition, that's the one.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just naming it beforehand just seems like you're trying to control us, and I
literally make you guys show up 7:30 every Friday night to do a podcast. So the control mechanism is there.
Yeah, society. Well, here's the big, almost meaningless question I get all the time.
Go ahead.
Is the Benzo Rehab Dungeon a society of control or a disciplinary society?
It's absolutely.
It seems very disciplinary.
It does seem really disciplinary.
A lot of discipline here.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I don't know. I'd say it's a society control, but to answer your question, I'm really sick right now, so I'm going to be useless and irritating.
So. Like
how are you, John?
Like one of those Fox News cowards. I mean, do you care if we tell people why you're sick?
No, I don't give a shit.
Okay. You got the Rona.
Yeah. Double Rona.
We don't know what variant it is. Is that true?
We don't. I assume it's the one that everyone in the world has right now.
That does seem like a pretty plausible. Yes. But yeah, so I wanted to, because one of the Fox News like main hosts, one of the 5 or whatever I think it is, got corona.
And now they're the 4.
Well, no, they all went remote like cowards. I wanted you to come over in studio today, so we.
Well, that's why I'm here in studio today.
Well, yeah, you are in studio.
Yeah, that's why we were kissing before we started this.
I'm not a bug chaser. I'm just more brave than the Fox News hosts, is all.
That's true.
John couldn't make it as always because he's in Texas.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, that's also my fault. I did move away from
that's
you.
True. We used to live pretty near. Like we all could have been buds hanging out on the weekend, but you didn't know one of us, and you moved away from the other one that you did know, which is me, and I'm still heartbroken.
Yeah,
John, how are you doing, by the way?
Yeah, well, I'm even more depressed with guilt now. I was wishing for the 100th episode, today because of the title.
Oh,
yeah.
But
but now I'm wishing it for regretting my life choices.
That's fair.
Why does the title connect to 100?
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
I think because we're gonna title that something like the one where we kill ourselves or something.
Oh, yeah. the team. Yeah. What the fuck is the Always Sunny
once
thing?
again, making a completely unmonetizable live stream here.
Yeah,
good work.
I mean, it's our job to
5 minutes
demonetize things.
So let's go ahead and jump into the episode because nobody cares about our banter. Nobody likes us, first off.
No one is here to just feel like they're hanging out with people while they're stuck in their house.
Yeah. You and I watched a movie. So we have another movie review.
A fine piece of cinema.
So I don't know if you saw the link that I put in the chat, but I timestamped it to the kitchen scene.
Oh, dude, yeah, that one's
which I felt was one of the better scenes that kind of expresses really what's going on with the cinematography.
Yeah, it's exemplary.
The sound engineering.
That's my favorite part of that scene, actually. So I'm really glad you bring it up. So
the framing, the mise en scène, if you will,
and the mise en place.
Yeah, I don't know that much Latin. I know.
Yeah,
that was a shitpost joke. All right, before somebody says, "What, this fucking idiot doesn't know what he's saying." So the movie is called Robot in the Family.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for making it big mode. That fits into the screen better on the stream.
It's a prequel to The Matrix.
Yeah. Do you want to give any kind of background to what Robot in the Family is?
There's so much background here.
So a Turkish immigrant
played by Joey Pantoliano from The Matrix. He's the guy that eats the meat, that eats the steak in The Matrix. Is a Turkish immigrant, maybe. But it's the background is confusing because maybe it was his grandfather or his wife's father who was the immigrant. But one way or another, he's extremely Turkish in a weird joke way. So he sounds like Barat.
Well,
because that guy's like an Irish person from fucking New Jersey or something. I don't know what that fucking accent is.
It's the Barat accent.
Well, no, I mean his like actual accent, the actor's accent.
Oh yeah, he's just the New Yorker.
yeah,
or Bostonian or whatever.
So not only is he Borat sometimes, but also he kind of dips into like Tommy Wiseau.
Yes, the whole time. Yeah, he is.
The accent is not very consistent, which is the only complaint I have about this
movie. But the movie. I mean, should I give away like what my overarching take is, or should I wait?
No. We should wait until we watch the scene. I think, but a little bit more background.
But a little bit more background.
This Turkish immigrant.
Joey Pantsman.
Yeah,
he builds a robot for some reason.
It's never explained how he builds the robot either. There's a weird dream sequence before he actually builds the robot where he's like envisioning the robot in his brain and the robot's saying weird stuff to him.
Yeah. And I have a theory about that, but I'll wait on it. But so he's a general inventor, kind of. That's his dream, but he's actually just antique stealer, which in this movie, what an antique stealer is a person who owns an antique store, which are two very different things. And the antique store is next to another antique store that actually deals in antiques, and is good at its job, who is no shit owned and operated by the guy, the bad date guy from fucking Indiana Jones.
Well, it's John Rhys Davies, who was also Gimli in Lord of the Rings. I think most people
is he?
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
Oh, yeah.
He's actually a really good actor.
He's phenomenal, which is
amazing
like they're
that
both pretty good actors.
It's amazing
not
that
in
he
this.
made his way into this.
Yeah. And actually, Davies is like, he acts as well as he can in this. I mean, he's just like a racist Persian stereotype that like hates everyone, but is also like
an arms
it's
dealer.
a very racially confused movie.
I mean, I feel like this is what like all antique stores actually are, though. It's like one that's just filled with like crap. It's basically just a thrift store that calls itself an antique store,
right?
So,
and then a real one right next to it.
But
that's been my experience.
No, that seems about right. But by the last thing, the important thing about the robot is that the robot has, as we know through his theme song, his very racist sounding theme song, "Gold Digger, Gold Digger."
Yeah,
Gold digger.
with bad audio, it sounds quite a lot like something else, and I was quite alarmed when I started listening.
It sounds so bad. But
does he dig gold?
He's designed to find gold and also do everything else, like electrocute cops.
Nice.
Light people on fire and cure blindness.
Well, he only gets like a parking meter guy, not an actual cop.
Not like a cop.
He hasn't got the confidence for that yet.
Well, yeah, sorry.
So he's got three major functions.
Calling the cops when someone screams.
Yes. Playing with the kids.
He can electrocute them.
Playing with the kids is the other one, and then he also finds gold. And for some reason, this is like the perfect robot invention, according to the racist Turkish stereotype played by Tommy Pantaleone.
Also, every racist stereotype in this movie is also racist against Jews. Like
that was going to be the last thing I brought up before we played this. Is I think that Gold Digger is supposed to be a Jew.
Oh, so what is he, like a Jewish refugee from Turkey?
And you're gonna hear him talk in a certain voice that you're gonna be like, that's a maybe anti-Semitic way to portray a Jewish person.
Yeah.
So let's just go ahead and roll this. This scene happens after a long night out of what's his name? Pantaleone.
Yeah.
I can't remember the character's name. I think it's Joe or something.
I don't know. It's
fine Turkish name.
Yeah.
Or it might be Abu or something like that. I don't remember.
Jesus.
I can't remember. That's not even me making stuff up. I think I remember that name being thrown out.
Right.
They've been out for a long time because the plot line is that there's this helmet that's been stolen.
The helmet of Suleiman.
Yeah. The helmet of Suleiman has been stolen, and now like world peace is in jeopardy because two religious Middle Eastern factions are fighting over it.
It's not even that the Middle East is its peace is in jeopardy. It's just that it's kind of implied that the only reason that there's war in the Middle East in general is just like it's this metaphysical property of the Middle East caused by a hat going missing.
So he's been out trying to find this hat because he's pretty sure that the character played by John Rhys Davies has stolen it, but he can't find it, and the detective that he's been talking to thinks he's crazy. So he's going to be talking to the detective, and then he's going to program the robot to make breakfast for the kids.
Yeah. And one final thing, just to point this out, to be fair, before we do hit play, is that so what you're saying is in this scene, a Turkish man is blaming a Persian man for taking something from him, which seems pretty racist, but it ends up that the Persian man did take it.
Yeah, well,
which seems like a thing that has happened before.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, and that they're all also Jewish.
Yeah. Go ahead and play it, John.
I'm telling you. No, I'm not crazy. Detective? Alex? Detective?
I guess you didn't get the statue last night, did you, Dad?
No, Alex, I didn't. But I'm going to make a wonderful surprise for Mommy. I'm going to program Gold Digger to make breakfast. Gold Digger, breakfast!
breakfast, the most important meal of the day.
I think I got all the bugs out, too.
Green eggs and ham. Pancakes,
You like
layer
waffle?
cakes, coffee,
Yeah, but
tea, and...
I like crime fighting better.
The hardwood collection. These are far from Eli Bates.
Have I gone crazy, or is there an echo on this video?
No, there's a wee, and echo and all sorts of awful shit. And the audio gets worse.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
It gets a lot worse. Also, again, we've already pointed this out, but don't program a house help machine called Gold Digger. And don't say it in that accent. Don't do it.
Oh my God.
Continue, please.
Let's see what we have here. Candidate collection book. Insurance paper. Desk for foundry.
Oh, hi, kids. Hey, who wants pizza for breakfast? Pizza, kids, pizza! I need pots and pans and dough and flour. First, I'd like to make a toast. Wow, good energy! How am I going to get out of this jam? Kids, don't try this at home. Help me, my circuits are becoming grilled cheese. I am going to make something special for Mommy and Daddy. A smooth and nutritious meal which does not cause hiccups or bad breath. Spam is necessary for the pizza.
Here, can you light me?
Yeah, for some reason he pours liquid drain cleaner in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of like puns and stuff in here, which are awful. Like he says, "I'm in a jam" when his hand is stuck in the toaster. But the first off, the whole thing sounds like a nightmare. Like it has like weird ethereal background sounds, like children screaming, and there's like too many of them. Like it sounds like a full playground full of kids. Yeah, and there's like two of them jumping around in the room, and this guy is ripping the room into shreds. But the thing I wanted to point out, which is just incredible to me, is that this robot, he doesn't usually use the word mommy, but he says daddy all the time.
Yeah, he
just
refers
constantly
to the Turkish guy as daddy, and he's
when he's not around, just when he has no reason to be talking about him, he's obsessed with daddy.
This entire film is dominated by the robot constantly narrating every single thing that's going on,
and a lot of stuff that isn't.
and a lot of stuff that isn't. And then when there's like nothing left to narrate, he starts singing nursery rhymes, and it's all in that voice. It's all, oh, I gotta find my daddy. It's seashells by the seashores. Or like it's just fucking insane.
And I always feel bad for actors in like full costume, because so often like Kane Hodder and like people like that, like they do phenomenally well, playing as like, a slasher or something like that, but they don't have any lines. And that kind of sucks, but it's also, necessary kind of.
Yeah.
This is a man in a full body costume who he has more lines than anyone has ever had in a movie.
It's true.
Like the whole movie is him monologuing nonsense, whether or not he's on the screen. Yeah. But when it comes to that drain cleaner thing, the thing he says right before it is something like, "I'm going to make you a breakfast that won't cause like indigestion and stuff like that." Yeah. Which I think the implication is that I'm just going to make something and it won't make you feel bad because it'll make you die.
I don't know.
Like there's a lot of thought put into the movie and very little thought put into it. Like there are these moments where it's just like, haha, what if, but
so now the robot's trying to murder mommy and daddy?
No, that only exists in someone's mind for a moment.
Yeah. So let's continue to play this, and I'll tell you when to pause again.
TV dinner.
Sure, one TV dinner coming right up. TV or not TV, that is the question. And kids, don't forget to share.
He's
now
putting
you
the
can watch
TV
cartoons with your
in
dinner,
the
Richie,
microwave.
but don't eat too much, it will spoil your breakfast.
That's the TV dinner.
Uh-oh, I think I will take this to the shop and sell it as an antique. Now for the pizza, we need flour. Oh,
I'm a pizza person.
sorry, Cindy.
I'm gonna show Mommy.
Something to mix them in. Everybody get down on the floor and mix the dough. Pizza party, let's have fun. Don't call Mommy yet, kid. We want this to be a surprise for her. Uh-oh, pizza explosion.
Yeah, this
Kids,
is the...
get the sauce and anchovies and pepperoni. Ride 'em, cowboy. After breakfast, you can all ride me. Aren't my bananas? Not only is food good for you, but it's also fun, too. Food fight! Where should we make the pizza, kids? On the floor, in your head, or in the oven? Decisions.
Come on, let's play. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, Johnny, yeah, Mom's coming. Let's go.
This is a movie about war in the Middle East.
Hello, Doggy. To help us make the pizza.
158.
I'll go ahead and pause now.
I don't know if it's going to be immediately after this or if it's worth watching to get to that point, but I think the next time we see the kitchen, which might actually be a little ways from now, it is covered in cum.
That's true.
Like it is almost impossible that they didn't mean for it to look like it was covered in cum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a very weird movie.
Daddy.
Right. There's there's like a weird foot fetish scene in it.
Oh yeah.
We don't have to find that. I don't think we should play it on YouTube anyways.
It's incredible though. So the foot fetish scene, so Joey Pantman, he goes into this bone doctor, this osteopath's office, which is maybe one of the most bizarre sections of the movie.
It's pretty weird.
Where the osteopath is also an antique collector, because of course he is.
Yeah, everyone's an antique collector here.
And his secretary is the horniest person in the world, and is just talking like horny and violent.
Yeah.
And talking about like, oh man, he's the best at cutting bones. And then the next moment is like sucking on Pantman's cast, which has been molded into the shape of human toes.
Yep.
And then like talking about Bernini and like how amazing like the sculptures of Rodin are, but how it doesn't like match up to his foot job, which is what she calls it.
She literally says the word foot job.
And all of this happens. He didn't need a cast or anything. He's put in the cast as a revenge, as a way for the doctor to stop him because he's in cahoots with the other antique man. So, but I don't think he's injured in any way. He just has a weird horny cast put on his foot.
Is this the first YouTube poop?
So in general, this whole thing is incoherent, and I know I say that sometimes, maybe a little bit too much, but this is truly incoherent, where one scene does not lead into the next scene necessarily. You know, there's a lot of like dead hanging cliff sort of stuff, like,
oh yeah,
like the fact that the kitchen was made a mess, like, basically never gets addressed at any point in the movie. Right before that scene, for whatever reason, the robot decides it doesn't recognize Daddy when he comes home, and so it like tries to expel him as an intruder.
Yeah.
And it just cuts out like mid like scuffle, and then it goes to that scene where we started, where he's trying to call the detective.
Well, the operating theory, I think, is that they can do anything they want with the robot because it's implied that Daddy can reprogram him in an instant.
Yeah, but like it's never addressed. Like, oh,
nothing is ever addressed.
Yeah, nothing is ever addressed. It's just shambling through, as Maddie says in the comments. And don't worry, Robert, I'll address your comment in a second. It's a nightmare. The whole thing is a nightmare. It's a cacophony of constant noise and stress, and you can't figure out what's going on half the time. Like, even if you're watching it intently, you don't know what the fuck is happening anymore.
No, I've seen this movie twice this week with a horrible fever, which didn't help, but it also did make me feel like I communed with it in a deeper way. And I still don't know what the fuck.
You looked into the abyss and pulled out nothing.
Yeah. I looked at the abyss and I pulled out more abyss.
So
I do have a theory though.
Oh, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. Do you know the old movie / legend of the Golem?
Yes.
So it's a man made of clay built by a Jewish mystic using Kabbalah in order to defend him and his family. And it's always implied that the golem is not quite a complete person because people can't do the act of God, which is producing people this shit.
So you can't fuck it, or it can't fuck you.
You can fuck it, and it can fuck you just fine. Just
I don't think that's the.
It's never entirely there. It just never feels quite right. So he builds his golem, and there, per my knowledge, are like quite a few different ways for this to end, but it eventually turns back to clay, or they like tell it, hey, you've been a good boy, and they put it away, kind of thing, or whatever. But that's what's happening in this. This is a weird international, it's like them making a kids movie about this weird international crisis that they do not understand. And what they're saying is that this Jewish golem of the Israeli state exists in order to find and extract capital in order to protect American families, while the Turks and the Persians and people who are maybe what these people view as like satellites or approximate of those. Arabs among them, which are not those things, are in conflict, but also some amount of cooperation. And how really the problem is that there are a couple of bad actors that want to hold on to like the history of the place.
Isn't Turkey and Persia the same place?
No. Iran and Persia are the same.
Iran. That's right. Yeah.
And this movie has to have some amount of like historical context that does exist in the author's mind as they're writing it. Like, I'm sure that they know something, because there is certainly a lot of like tension and weird politicking that have happened between all three of these parties in the past. And I'm sure that they're aware of it in a weird, like, my mom told me a racist story that she got from her uncle kind of thing, and it's informed the entire worldview of producing this. But I really do think it's produced for like a Jewish Hollywood base about them. But I need to find out who the author is. I'm going to look that up while we continue on. But this is an incredible, weird remake of the Golem, is all I'm saying.
Highly recommend you watch it with or without some kind of psychoactive stimulant, perhaps.
Not a stimulant. That'll hurt you.
Yeah. No, this is just like the most terrible like acid trip.
Yeah. 1.8 on IMDb. Which is pretty good.
It's got like 3 out of 5 stars on Amazon, I saw.
That's pretty good. So
they'll do anything to sell a movie.
The looks like the author is Jack Shaul, who has
that doesn't ring like any kind of ethnic name or anything.
Well, the really funny thing here is he was also an actor in the movie, and I wasn't aware of this. He was Isaac Shamir, which again,
the Hasidic Jew guy, wasn't he?
He was the blind Jewish guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Who the robot gives his sight back to, like Jesus.
Yeah.
And runs into the street only to get hit by a car.
Yep.
While yelling in a very, I'm gonna say it, guys. I'm gonna be direct, in a very Jewy way.
It's true.
I can see. I'm not gonna do it. I can't do a Jewish impression, and I shouldn't ethically.
Ethical limitations forbid me from
contract obligations with the Benzo Rehab dungeon demand that I don't do any Jew impressions.
HR really locked down the what we're allowed to do here.
Yeah, I know. I'm allowed to say gold digger as much as I want, but I can't, do a Jewish voice.
You got to make sure that those 2 D's are really in there. Gold digger. Let's move on. Real quick, Robert in the comments says, "Did you know that when people put Benzo Rehab Dungeon into YouTube, the first thing that comes up is a government helpline?" Yes, I've been made aware of that, and I find it hilarious now.
It should do that. I mean, what are you doing right now, listener, watcher, everyone? What are you doing? Why are you doing this to yourself? Dear Lord.
Yeah, and next time you go to watch the live stream, just click the government helpline, for God's sakes.
Yeah. Really.
So let's get into the good, funny rest of this podcast episode.
Oh yeah, we're talking about other stuff.
Yeah, we went pretty long on the Gold Digger, but
I mean, it's a great movie. There's a lot to be said about it.
Like I said, recommended watch. Just to absorb how atrocious it is.
Which I think at this point, this might be something we do most weeks, right? Is have some kind of like awful media critique.
Yeah, this seems to be a running thing of ours now.
It's the only thing that still makes me laugh.
So there was a fire in. I was looking at the comments, not ignoring you.
Shit! I was reading the article.
Oh yeah, good. We should read the article.
What does it say?
There was a fire in New York, an old public housing building. There was a space heater that caught fire. The reason that there was a space heater in the apartment in the first place is because the building is not properly maintained, of course. Also, due to the age of the building, which we'll get into later, certain fire protection measures were not available in the building. New York's awesome new mayor, who happens to be a cop and also happens to be black. So he's a cool race traitor cop.
Yeah.
Class and race traitor. Like the double whammy. But he is a weirdo. And basically what the building owners and operators are trying to say is that when this fire started, the people rushed out of the room as they should have, but they didn't close the door, and since they didn't close the door, that allowed the fire to spread faster than it normally would.
I don't know. Have you ever seen Backdraft?
Well, so so I've never lived in a big fucking horrific fucking building that has like 1,000 people in it.
Yeah.
I've never been taught I went through like they made us go through like an actual simulated burning building when I was in elementary and middle school. And they never told us to close the door because any building that a human is in, they should be able to get out of.
Yeah.
Sure. There's a fire. It shouldn't matter that you close the door or not.
Right. And automatically closing doors are one of the fire code regulations.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
So the fact that the door stayed open after they opened it and didn't close itself is more indicative of the maintenance practices of the building and not any wrongdoing on the people who were rightfully fleeing a fire. If you would like to scroll down to that second paragraph.
I mean, most importantly, though, when it comes to these doors, what you really want in an emergency situation is a door that comes down like a shutter and like snaps people in half, so that you can keep the dead where they belong. Right?
Could you scroll up just a little bit, John? Go ahead.
Look, I just want more eugenical buildings is all I'm saying.
Yeah. So Eric Adams is
pay extra for the first floor.
you want to be safe, right?
Yeah.
This fire killed 17 people, by the way. I don't know
how many people?
That 17. 8 of them were children, of course, because this is a residential building. So Eric Adams is giving this talk on it, and this is the quote from him. We want to be clear here that we don't want to add further trauma on that family because they fled the apartment, Adams told reporters during a Monday press briefing. Muscle memory during crisis. You're trying to get out. It is our obligation to reinforce the concept of close the door. What we don't want to do is just add more trauma on the family that was simply trying to escape a very dangerous and very frightening experience. All of us make mistakes during crises.
This is repulsive.
Yeah, no, this guy sucks. We'll probably have to do like a deeper dive on this guy.
Oh yeah, he's a fun one. He doesn't care if you don't like him as mayor, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. He's a cop.
Yeah. Well, no, he did a whole speech where he said, it doesn't matter. We'll cover it later.
So it's probably going to come out at some point that this guy is like deeply connected with a lot of nefarious people.
He's the mayor of New York. Just a reminder.
So he's got that going for him. There's a lot of whisperings in the background about who he is and some of the things he's done. It's possible that he even has connections with the building owner here. Which is why he's trying to pivot the blame to not closing the door on the way out rather than the maintenance of this building. So let's go ahead and go to the next link, which is more. I just wanted us to see that ad. So this is from the American Prospect, prospect.org. According to the National Fire Protection Association, presence of an automated extermination system, i.e. automatic sprinklers, drops the rate of death and injuries in fires by 89% and 27% respectively in the properties tracked by the NFPA. Only 30... so the rate of death is dropped by 89% and the rate of injuries is dropped by 27%. To clarify that phrase. In the properties tracked by the NFPA, only 36 deaths occurred in sprinkler buildings compared to 2,816 deaths in buildings without an automated sprinkler system. It's a pretty proven method. But the problem is that but the result of 30 years without government intervention manifests in cities like New York, where subprime federal fire safety standards are hardly enforceable because 93% of the public housing stock was built before 1992, exempting it from regulation under the Federal Fire Safety Act, which is what requires sprinklers in buildings.
That's what we want to do, is we want to get grandfather people out of their lives.
Yeah. That's essentially what's happening here. Is we have a bunch of poor people that are living in these buildings that are, we know due to more recent fire regulations are not safe anymore because they don't have those same standards. They don't have the same egress standards. I think this building didn't have an exterior like fire escape like a lot of buildings have. Or anything like that. So it was an internal staircase that everybody had to use in order to try to get out, and that's why 17 people ultimately died.
It's actually something you see as a selling point as on a lot of housing sites, things like that. It's like, ooh, hardwood floors, all these things that old buildings have that you really like, and also like built-in crematorium.
Yeah.
They got it all.
Almost.
Yeah.
So
also,
go ahead.
No, I mean, just I'm trying to find the name of the place, but I can't find it right now because I suck. But there was the British building that
Grenfell
quite a few years
Tower.
ago now. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Lit on fire because of the kind of like paneling that was used, and then everything went to shit. And it also didn't have things like, a lot of these systems. But the thing that I always end up hearing from like fucking weirdo libertarians when we're talking about these kind of things is that, well, we do have a certain acceptance of like a certain amount of violence that occurs inside of our lives and our society. Yeah. It's also like a Zizek point, right? Which is that like we have cars that go over 50 miles an hour because of the fact that we're willing to accept a certain amount of violence in order to make our society work. But the difference between having cars that go over 50 miles an hour and bedrooms that don't light on fire is that well, there are a lot of differences, believe it or not. Yeah. But the one that I might want to highlight is that you don't fucking live in your car usually, and your children don't live in it either. Yeah. You know,
what if you get a race car bed?
A race car bed?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It depends if it can go over 50 miles an hour.
What
I guess.
Then, Libcook?
Yeah.
But
you
like,
deserve to die then.
Yeah. But in order to perform actions of any sort, like there's also always risk involved. But the point of having a home is that it's a place where you're not necessarily involving yourself in risk.
Every moment, like that's
the point. Anyway, it sucks.
Yeah. Let's see. Go ahead and scroll down a little bit. Yeah, so basically this article makes a point, which we've kind of made. In other words, federally funded housing in the U.S. is a death trap for the country's destitute. Toward the end of our phone call, Rep. Watson Coleman told me, just because you rely on the government for housing, your life is not less valuable. Would be cool if the government showed us that, but they don't. Let's go ahead and move on to the next link. Oh, another thing I wanted to add is because we can keep on the next link. So the landlord, owner, landlord company, property manager, whatever you want to call it, is claiming that they were technically up to code.
Technically is the best kind. Yeah.
Technically being up to code is the best thing you can do. There are a lot of housing units around the country, which is what this link is about. But specifically New York City, hundreds of New York City buildings still not meeting sprinkler law requirements. This is buildings that are actually required to have sprinklers. They're not grandfathered in. And there's still hundreds of buildings that aren't meeting those requirements. I can tell you, as somebody who's worked in the building maintenance field for, 7 years now. I worked apartments before, so I guess like a combined 10 years probably. Every job I've gone to, the first thing I check is whether or not like maintenance has been done on the fire suppression systems. And
it seems pretty important.
I would say 4 out of 5 jobs that I've had now in that span of time, the answer has been no, and it's been no, and not for several years.
Oh yeah. You would not believe you would not believe the amount of buildings that I go into, which, because I work for a private company that's for profit, I can't just fix things for people.
Yeah.
But the electronic sensors on the main pressure pipe, the sensor pipe that causes all the sprinklers to go off. Yeah, that's it. The riser. Yeah. But the only thing that I ever fuck with is the sensor on that thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm walking through a stairwell and I pass by the riser, that the sensor wires have just been cut.
Well, that's probably how you stop it from alarming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You ever smoke a joint in a bathroom? Yeah. You know what you gotta do.
Yeah. What's weird about a lot of these fire suppression systems, first off, is that a lot of them are like publicly accessible, which is weird. California thankfully has a lot of laws where it has to be like behind a locked door. Also laws that aren't followed, which is like every 6 months you have to have your system inspected, and that rarely happens. Yeah, so what people will do, because And I've been placed in this position, and I've actually quit jobs over stuff like this, where I've been told, "Hey, yeah, sorry, the cost of doing maintenance on this system is going to be too much. So is there like something we can do to just like wing it for a little bit?" And I'm like, this is whether or not like everybody burns to a crisp inside of our building, bro. Like that's not a like, wing it situation.
Wet blankets or something, Mike.
So yeah, can we just have everybody fill their tubs every night so that they have a safe place to hide in from the fire?
But could we get the water from somewhere else because it's expensive for us?
The water's also expensive.
Yeah, there's probably be better if it's salt water anyway, right? Like, I don't know.
So like, luckily, like for the like deregulated fucking hellscape that Texas is, their electrical regulations are actually pretty good compared to a lot of states.
Yeah, you really gotta know your shit there.
Yeah, no, and luckily, like I went to a place where they're like, can you fix it for now? And like basically like they had a bunch of like sub panels all over like a mobile home sales lot, and it was like held together with like tape and fucking shoestring, the electrical system. And it was just like basically they had like 8 small electrical fires a day.
That's
Jesus.
One of my favorite things to do when I'm actually given the money to buy such equipment is to just like put it on the thermal imager and just be like, look at that fucking wire.
Oh yeah.
See how all the other wires are like nice and blue and like not threatening, and then you got this like white hot one in the center there. That's a problem. That's going to kill somebody.
Oh yeah. Well, and like luckily for me, like I tell them like the only thing I can do is turn it off. You know, like it's that or fix it, you know, and fixing it is like digging everything up. They're like, oh, okay. And I was like, but you should fix it. And they're like, oh yeah, we will. And I was like, no,
just in case you're not aware.
Yeah. Well, like I started putting caution tape up all over everything. And they're like, whoa, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I don't want anybody to die.
Yeah.
And they were like, because you know, and they're like, do you think somebody could die? I was like, well, that's what I would tell somebody in court.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, no, I'm making a record today, and it's going into like our company record, and when we get subpoenaed, you know, like by law, we're going to turn over like our observations.
Right.
Yeah. So when you kill somebody, like, you know, I'm going to snitch about it.
I'm going to snitch on you for killing.
And I love that phrase that you used before, which is the can you fix it for now? Which is the scariest word someone can ever say, kind of.
Yeah.
Sure. But also such a good way for you to avoid liability as well, which is that like, yeah, I fixed it for then because that's what they wanted. So right. The fact that 10 days later it exploded and killed 4 kids and a dog is, you know, that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
So that won't hold up in court. Don't do that, anyone.
Yeah, no, that's not how you do it.
It's a terrible idea. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, it's something that I heard quite a lot actually, working for the city, and one of the reasons I kind of left the city job because I was being placed in unethical positions sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's what I have told every mechanic I have ever met in my life. Can you fix it for now?
But that's different when you're like talking about your own car, where like probably the worst thing that's gonna happen.
It's not a school bus.
Yeah, you're gonna be stranded on the 5 or some dumb shit, and you'll like have to suck dick to get your way back
to
Mike, the San Diego area.
The worst thing that can happen is that we can drive it into the desert, and my axle can snap in half.
Yeah,
and then you and I can be stuck in, and then I can wait for AAA to charge me $1,000 while I'm shaving the VIN number off of my car in a sandstorm because I'm an idiot.
True stories.
It is a true story. It's really fun. I was covered in wounds as well because I jumped off of a cliff into a thorn bush that I thought would save me, which did and did not, to find Mike, who was drinking in a cavern.
Yep.
Not a cavern, like a chasm.
Like an overhang.
Overhang. So,
if we could zoom in on...
Fix it for now.
the section that says compliance with local law 26.
Yes, normalize snitching on your employer. Absolutely.
Yes, Madison is correct. Compliance with local law 2026. Despite local law 26 of 2004 having good intentions, the legislation did not have the punitive ability to push building owners into compliance. If you don't punish people, they will say, can you fix it for now? And somebody will eventually fix it for now. And there's nothing that anybody can do about it. There's no fines to compel the owner to go, it's actually cheaper if I just fix it for now instead of incurring this massive fine.
Let's see. Sorry. This is such a bizarre thing for me when it comes to, again, libertarian weirdos, right?
Yeah.
Which is that they're willing to push this idea that, any kind of regulation ends up stunting growth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you also need the opportunity to essentially economically punish people in order to make sure that they do things. And so you can economically punish people for not going in to work at Walmart or whatever. And that totally makes sense with their theory, even though it's a very widespread, like massive punishment, which is occurring like ultimately in way more instances, versus like you're not allowed to tell people to put fucking fire extinguishers every 100 feet, which is way too much. I mean that double think is so fucking bizarre.
It truly
is. Just doesn't make any sense. Surprise.
So there was a fine associated with this, but the problem with the fine is that the fine is much less than what the actual cost of maintenance is.
Yeah.
And then that's like the most punitive thing that they can do. And usually fines have rules like every such and such days or whatever,
Right.
You're allowed to fine somebody a certain amount. A lot of fines that I've run into, I don't know what it is in New York exactly, but a lot of fines that I ran into were stuff like every month, or sometimes it'll be something weird like 45 days.
Yeah. Because it got like bartered and negotiated and stuff.
Yeah. So there was some new legislation. This article is from 2020. I don't know if this new legislation passed, but it was supposed to like increase that fine to $1,000 a day, which obviously kind of changes the dynamic of like whether or not you're actually going to get that sprinkler system taken care of. But the other thing that'll eventually happen in situations like this, and where the state ultimately fails people who are living in these non-maintenance apartment buildings that some asshole just owns so he can make a bunch of fucking money, and he has no liability for, because the owner will hire a property manager and say, it's all on the property manager. The property manager is a company, and companies, as we know in the past, can't really actually be punished for anything. And there's this weird mythology where and anybody who works for the company also can't be punished because they were just doing what's best for the company, which is to make profits. And the company is actually the bad thing. So we'll punish the company by saying it's bad. We can't send it to jail. We can tell it to dissolve itself. But then all those people that used to work at the company just make a new company.
Yeah.
I like what they do in India.
What do
like
they do in India?
Thing.
They try to lynch the landlord when something bad happens. When something bad
that should happen. That should actually happen without something bad happening.
I mean,
the landlord arrangement is already a bad thing that's happened.
Yeah.
So
I think,
and I think that the government generally forgives people for that. Like they believe it's understandable.
You got caught up in the moment. What were you saying, Dorian?
Well, I mean, if you can diffuse responsibility enough, you can get away with anything. So you got 60 people, murdering one landlord, and you're probably gonna get away with it. But no, which is that tenants unions are a thing. and you should try to start one.
Sure.
Because in their most successful instantiations, it becomes a series of different people that all end up owning something like an apartment complex, and together are able to not only make it so that their rent is significantly lower because they're just essentially paying the bank or the property taxes or whatever the fuck is necessarily applying at the most basic level, but also they're able to, demand certain things happen, like basic fucking maintenance, which if you've ever worked or lived in like shitty apartment complex, that basic things being fixed, let alone like full scale like installations and maintenance of anything new, is just something that doesn't happen. So get together with some people and try to
HC in the chat says, I like what they did in China, which I believe is a reference to
it's a Mao. Yeah. It's a Mao thing.
Maoists in the chat.
Mao did precisely a few things right.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mao was at least very right in one thing.
Yeah. Shit, there was one more thing I wanted to say, but it's gone because I'm stupid.
Well, if you remember, we're gonna be on the fire subject for one more link. So
no.
John, you could go to the next link, please, sir.
Also, this is probably a good name for this episode. I think we found the new name, which is Fix It For Now.
It's already been named.
You son of a bitch. You've already made
I already made the name for now.
Image and everything? Let's see what you did. This is very good, Michael. This is very good.
So planners set to approve 51-story London Tower with only one staircase.
Oh shit.
Fire safety experts
interior spiral staircase.
Yeah. So what normally happens during a fire, and this is okay for, one of the larger buildings I ever worked on was the City Hall building for the city I worked for. And it was a pretty massive 4-story building. It had a staircase, and it actually had like 5 staircases. And we're talking like a 4-story building. This is a 51-story building with 1 staircase. It's a residential tower with like 120 something units or something like that. I love how on this Guardian article, it shows where the tower is going to go, and it's got this like scribbly arrow pointing to it. Great graphics team over there at the Guardian.
I personally like it.
No. I think
it's cute.
No, I think it's great. Fire safety.
I just wish the tower was also in that same style, but with like a really nice arrow pointing at it.
Fire safety expert says it would be utter madness to approve plans for one of UK's tallest residential buildings, but they're probably going to go ahead with it anyways. So if you want to scroll down just a little bit, I think there's some diagrams and.
More like diagrams, am I right?
All right, yeah, there we go.
Because people are gonna die because there's one staircase for 51 floors.
So the tower is supposed to be 174 meters. The 51-story residential tower in Docklands, I think that says.
Yeah.
Have a single exit staircase, the minimum permitted under UK building regulations for fire safety.
Wow.
Incredible.
Strategy that asks people to stay put in their homes in the event of a blaze.
No.
Staying put in your
that's
staying put
in
a tower that's on fire is actually what killed a lot of people during 9/11 was the firefighters were telling people to stay in place.
Yeah.
Because they didn't realize like what was actually happening, I guess.
Yeah. Here's a crazy thought. Okay. That if you ran a big old pile of stuff and the pile of stuff gets all hot and lights on fire.
Yeah.
That if you stay there, you might also get hot and burning. And maybe that doesn't happen, but if it's enclosed like some kind of construct, you know, with like a roof and stuff. It might also fill with smoke. Yeah. So maybe the rule for this type of thing shouldn't be to put your head between your legs and kiss your ass.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Like that seems like a bad bit of advice. Well, unless you're like really Buddhist about it, I guess.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Well, cause like which also this one staircase fucking per building thing seems like outrageous. That I know that the fucking National Fire Code doesn't allow new buildings of this size to only have one staircase in this country.
Yeah, that's where you'd be wrong.
Well, so
that's for a different time.
So yeah, not all states are observant.
Yeah.
But these codes are the minimum. So like this engineer is that, oh, I designed the minimum. This building is going to come out 100% perfect how I design it. And so I'll design it at absolutely the minimum.
So a couple of important things here on this graph.
Which is not going to happen.
On the graph is that the staircase only goes through 3 floors. The rest of it is a slide.
128 meters is where 128 meters is the international building code where most countries say, yeah, once you reach this height, you need to have at least a second exit.
So good, man.
That's still not enough. Mainly being because if there's a fire on the lower floors, like any one of those exits could be filled with smoke. Both of those exits could be filled with smoke.
Have you seen the new how staircases are supposed to be done at buildings of a certain height?
I don't think
so. Certain floors are just big giant mechanical shutters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, to let smoke out.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, great. Ooh.
we gave it a vent. We all know that smoke goes exactly where you want it to all the time. There can never be anything like an outside pressure that's greater than the inside pressure that maybe keeps the smoke inside because there's winds or whatever.
It's also
so you brought up Grenfell Tower earlier.
Yeah.
And on this graph, we have this nifty little thing that says 67.3 meters Grenfell Tower. Grenfell Tower killed something in the range of like 130 people, I think.
Yeah, something fucking incredible.
And that's half the size of this fucking thing. Oh, sorry, 72 people. I was thinking of a different event, maybe. 72 people died as a result of the fire that engulfed the tower in 2017. The building had a single staircase, which was quickly inundated with smoke. The point I was just making. Please go ahead.
Oh, what?
Dorian, you were saying something and I cut you off, I think.
Oh, I might be too stupid to remember, or else that's not true. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Sorry.
We have a follow-up then. Pivoting away from stop making buildings that will roast people.
I mean, that's the theme of the show now is don't make building bad. Don't do it.
Join the Discord and you too can talk in the building bad channel.
That's true. And hold on. There's a comment in the chat. It's from HC, capitalist to Buddhist pipeline. Fucking real though. Western Buddhist. I mean, very specific type of Buddhist.
I actually
but this
have
is real as shit.
I have a problem with that statement. There's nothing in Buddhism that is anti-capitalist necessarily, I would say.
No, I think there is, but it depends on the type of Buddhism you're.
Aren't there a lot of capitalists like Zen Buddhists though?
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's two
those are some of the most like prominent sects in China, I believe. Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a phenomenon that exists, but it's the same thing with like Christianity, right? Where you have. Generally speaking, if you look at it, you kind of feel it through. If you want to be a good Christian, you should probably be like somewhat aesthetic, stuff like that. You know, it's probably the right thing to do.
To a degree, yeah.
Right, you know. But you have a whole lot of like rich motherfuckers that are like abusing everyone and using Christianity as their reasoning. And I certainly think that Buddhism has a tendency to also be really useful for that, because it's like, no, it becomes mindfulness at that point. It's like all the rest of the Buddhism stuff is like put out the window. It's just about like, well, I don't want to suffer anymore. and that's my whole philosophy. And like, I'm going to listen to Alan Watts and like think about how enlightened I am.
Very, very mindful of this flow of the money exchange.
Right, exactly. Versus like, other forms of Buddhism that I think are more right. I don't know. I like Buddhism, but I think the Zizek is definitely really right about a lot of Western Buddhism simply being used to amplify and like salve the wounds of people experiencing capitalism, so they don't do anything about it.
I love that, because I think Buddhism gets kind of conflated with Stoicism a lot. I mean, they do have some similar things about them.
Very similar, yeah.
But Stoicism in the Western understanding is like, I'm Marcus Aurelius, I'm an emperor, and everything I do is as an emperor. and therefore I must also ensure my kingdom is prosperous, and my kingdom is my shitty home in the suburbs.
I mean, that's the cool like thing that separates like Siddhartha and like Buddhism from Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism, is that the Stoic will be like, yeah, I own this Ski-Doo dealership and it is my domain. And when my ex-wife calls me the F slur, I won't let it hurt my feelings.
But I will choke her and get the cops called on me.
But I won't be angry about it.
Yeah, I'm acting logically right now.
Yeah, I'm not even angry right now, Karen, you bitch. But on the Buddhist end, you have a guy who's just like, well, I am the king or the prince or whatever the fuck, and I think that sucks, so I'm gonna do something else, which is nothing.
Yeah,
and that kind of rules,
a little bit.
I think Zizek should revisit Buddhism a little bit with his whole "I prefer not to" thing. And start, I don't know, meditate for 40 days under a Bodhi tree or whatever. Seems pretty cool.
HC says, fuck Stoicism. All my homies hate Stoicism. I want to say, if you want to meet the most annoying person you can possibly talk to, find somebody who like in their like page bio or whatever says that they identify as a Stoic. And I swear to God, you will hate that person immediately.
Fuck Stoicism. All my homies allow themselves to have feelings.
So we're gonna move to a different subject of buildings now.
No bullshit.
Which is not buildings that burn people to death, but buildings that may fall over at some point.
Okay, I was hoping you were gonna say freeze people to death.
No. We've got a 25 second ad that we have to talk through. So
hell yeah.
Yeah.
The Millennium Tower.
Yeah.
Which is one of our, because I made it so, one of our cases that we're following in real time, because this is incredibly interesting to me. It turns out that it's tilting 3 inches per year.
It's beautiful.
I think we watched that nerdy guy. Go ahead and pause it here, John, so I can set this up. We watched that nerdy guy, I think last time, who kind of was like, hey, the engineer said it's okay, so it's fine.
Yeah. Trust the science.
Yeah, trust the science sort of people. But the engineer said it's fine at the current 26-inch lilt that it's at. If it keeps tilting more, that's bad. Yeah. I think the current like projection is that like 2 years from now, like none of the plumbing in the building will work anymore because any of the like expansion connections, because buildings shift, of course, we all know that. Even like a regular home will shift and settle, that's like where you get the creaks in your house here and there. So a lot of connections like from the main to your house will have a certain flexibility in them, but like there's only so much flexibility that's accounted for. They don't plan for your building to tilt like another year at this rate, and it'll be tilting at 29 inches from where it normally is supposed to be set.
It's like your doctor. You go in, you're like, my blood pressure is pretty fucked up. It's like 150 over 100. I'm worried. Is this a bad thing? He's like, you're not currently having a heart attack.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Your building has not currently fallen over, so we're still golden. But
it could always get worse.
Go ahead and make the video big, John. There's a oh man, that poor woman got stretched.
Yeah, that's a stretched duck. Well, now we're demonetized.
Yeah, demonetized.
HC
for sure.
says that they only know real Buddhists. So I'm sorry, HC, that I shit on Buddhists.
Only no real ones.
Yeah, no real Buddhist would ever do that. So
we are the arbiters.
There's a stunning admission that happens in regards to we talked about how the drilling of the new piles actually made the building like sink further and tilt worse.
Yeah.
We're gonna get some amazing information out of this. John, go ahead and please play the clip.
Oh, fuck.
Specifically about current testing recommendations. So today, we are just actually 9 days short of marking the 2-year anniversary of when we started formally responding to the pandemic here in Santa Clara County. So we are closing in on our 2-year anniversary.
Yeah, this is wrong. I was like testing.
No,
and
that's
we
multi-purpose.
are still in the throes of the high.
Pause that shit. Scroll down, maybe.
Hey guys, did you know COVID is still happening? That's our next bit of news.
Man,
there you go.
What the hell happened to this goddamn link?
Oh,
that's
maybe
weird.
Let me try refreshing it. Maybe
try refreshing it.
Oh, another
maybe it played through or something.
Another ad for us.
5 seconds.
No, because I did this all early. So I could play video games, but maybe I forgot to pause the actual news article.
I think you may have. If it played silently in the background, that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
You and I were
visit
playing
Palm
No Man's...
Springs, by the way. Never ever.
Yes, this is the video Springs. We need. It's looking a lot more familiar now.
Yeah.
So yeah, unmute it, make it big. And then play that son of a gun. Stretch
well,
mode.
It is another misstep for the Millennium Tower. The engineer responsible for the troubled tower acknowledged today that they didn't give the contractor any direction on how to support the foundation without causing that building to lean even more as a result of that deep digging. NBC Bay Area's investigative reporter Jackson Vanderbecken has today's revelation.
We start this new year 2022 as we ended last year and many other years with the Millennium Tower continuing to sink and tilt.
During Supervisor Aaron Peskin's hearing, he pressed the designer of the troubled fix of the Millennium Tower, Ron Hamburger, about the project's status.
The building remains safe. And in fact can tilt more.
But Hamburger acknowledged the contractor hired to shore up the foundation of the high-rise was never given any instructions on how to keep the tilting from getting worse.
What the fuck?
During all that
actually visible now.
The procedures for installing piles were basically the contractor's prerogative.
What? So you come up with a new way of doing a thing.
Yeah.
And expect the contractor to figure out how to do the thing.
The drilling contractor, which shows up with a drill and goes, "Oh, this is the mark where we're supposed to drill. Let's get."
Where do you want me to make hole?
Yeah.
Where does the hole go?
Yeah.
Which let's not simplify them down to like being idiots, but they're
they're
told,
but like they're not
that's their function.
Given the problem of, hey, fix this fucking building, they're given the problem, make this really big hole that's very hard to make.
So generally tradesmen are responsible for their work, when they design something. If a tradesman designs something, he is responsible for it. But when he is handed prints with like 3 stamps from like the municipality having jurisdiction, whoever that person is, fucking stamps it. The engineer who designed it stamps it, and then some other auditor stamps it. They look at that, and now they cannot go beyond what
they have to follow those directions.
Yeah. So and then they're not responsible, and anytime they bring something up, they'll always be told this is beyond your understanding.
Yeah, well, I mean, and exactly what's happening here with Hamburger Man is that it's their prerogative, because we need to be able to blame everyone else when this building falls over and turns everyone into hamburger.
Hey, the hamburger
that's
guy.
Really,
he's trying to make some patties.
But yeah, so like, of course it's their job, because it's not their job. But if I say it's their job, then they can deflect it back to me, and it doesn't go anywhere. And I'm just gonna be a spokesperson for this stupid bullshit.
Rules. Let's go
Very
ahead
good.
And play a little bit more here.
Of hamburger.
We did not tell them how to install the piles.
Supervisor Peskin asked city building officials about that. They told him it's standard practice.
This is a 50-plus story, very heavy building in the middle of our downtown that is precipitously tilting over 2 feet. But I don't think there's a lot of room here for on-the-job learning.
Hamburger told city officials the Millennium Tower continues to tilt an additional 3 inches each year. At that rate, it could reach the functional maximum, the point where the building's systems may not be safe to operate in just a few years. So we stressed the current plan to install 18 steel piles down to bedrock.
What was that, Dorian?
No, it just baffled me again. So you can continue. It's fine. This is so good.
Is the best way to secure the building and stop the tilting and possibly reverse it.
I still believe it is in everyone's best interest if the project is completed quickly.
Jackson Vanderbecken, NBC, Bay Area News.
Now, Jackson and the investigative unit have been reporting on the Trouble Tower for years.
So I'm trying to find like a cool, fun place to move. Right. That's my mission for the next few months.
Downtown
maybe I should
San Francisco.
Yeah, maybe I should move because at a certain point in tilt. I would be able to use this building as my roof. So I could just get a little like caught on the sidewalk, and it will save me from all of that San Francisco fog and rain.
Yeah, right.
So what we really should do if the
live stream me being crushed by a building.
if the leasing prices for an office on the Millennium Tower becomes
it's residential.
It just tanks. Oh, well, I mean, when they repurpose it to whatever.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because it's just a like condemned like hellscape. Mm-hmm. We should start recording the podcast right off the top floor.
Oh yeah. Oh, without a doubt, dude.
And then we can live stream it like falling over.
Well, yeah, we would have to arrange it so that there's a window behind me, and so you can just see the ground behind me through the window.
It just goes straight down, like the building's sideways. You're like strapped. But I mean, when San Francisco finally becomes Mega City 1, and we're all like flooding in there, and I've changed my name to Mama, and I have like facial scars, and like we're all taking slow-mo. Then we'll. I don't know. I feel like that's the end point in the Benzo Rehab dungeon. And then like some super cop that's like he looks just like Carl Urban, and he's the judge, jury, and executioner, comes into our mega city structure and begins murdering all of us. And eventually, like, I bring out my machine guns, which are like lining all the railings. And I'm trying so hard to remember what happens in that movie.
But I was gonna say a really cool like.
I think I get kicked out the window.
a really cool quip that Carl Urban could say is like, "I'm here to fix this crooked city."
Nice. That's really good. Yeah. Let's write a movie. Yeah. Let's write the new Judge Dredd movie about the Millennium Tower in San Francisco.
It's like Shaft, the plot of Shaft, but a building inspector.
Dude, fuck yes. Honestly, that rules.
Judge Dredd, but Judge Dredd is a building inspector that's also given the authority to like lethally execute his commands.
Yeah.
No, see, it's got to be like Shaft, where he takes the authority to execute his commands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm not actually familiar
black
with Shaft.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm not too super familiar with Shaft. To be honest,
watch your mouth.
Yeah, no,
sorry.
Shaft is I guess what did Cornel West calls them survivors, not race traders.
Okay.
because he's nice.
He is very nice.
Yeah. Shaft was a race trader who becomes reformed because he realizes that he can't work within the system.
He's got to work outside the system.
Yeah, he's got to work outside the system, and then
while still upholding the merits of the system.
No.
He doesn't give a fuck.
No, he doesn't give a fuck. Yeah, no, it's like it's more of like a anarchist Avenger or something.
Yeah,
like that.
He puts his dick in everything, and he's friends with everyone except for the people he's not friends with. Shaft rules, honestly. Like, blaxploitation movies are kind of incredible.
All right, well, I'll just check in on that.
Yeah, they definitely can be.
Yeah. Anyway,
so that's our update on the Millennium Tower, which I had posited earlier in our building episode that this thing is gonna fucking fall over in our lifetimes. Whether or not it's like purposeful deconstruction or it just fucking falls over one day. Remains to be seen.
I really want it to fall over in the wrong direction. Just somehow, like, they build the hydraulics and they overdo it, and it's like
like a cartoon, like they jack it up too quick and it just like goes boing 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 and then like vibrates the wrong direction.
Exactly, like it's catastrophic and it's beginning to fall, and they're just like, oh fuck, we have one last chance, and they're just like, turn on all the hydraulic dicks that we have poking into the ground, and they do it. And right before it's about to crush like a little kid holding a puppy, it fucking flings itself in the other direction, and
that'd be based.
Crushes everyone who's ever worked at a startup.
Good.
Yeah. No, they're in Palo Alto. Never mind.
Somehow it accidentally goes to Silicon Valley, and
that'd be so hot. Yeah, it like flings itself through the air
and crushes Google headquarters.
Yeah. Millennium Tower. That's the Y2K I was thinking.
Next link. We'll shift gears now. This is why it's assorted topics.
Okay, not just bad buildings.
Yeah. So almost 2 years into the pandemic, empty flights are still frying the planet. John, if we could zoom in so I can read the text, and then scroll down to it.
So fucking needy.
Sorry. A major airline has revealed that it is making 18,000 unnecessary flights this winter.
This season.
This season, 18,000 unnecessary flights, prompting environmentalists to call for rules around Europe's airport slots to be reviewed. The Lufthansa Group, which includes Brussels Airlines. We're getting to it, John. Just be patient, please. Brussels Airlines, Austrian Airlines, Eurowings, and Swiss is having to fly empty aircraft just to keep its takeoff and landing rights at European airports. Apparently, there's a quota you have to fulfill if you have so many flights planned and you don't fly at least. Could you scroll down a little bit so I don't get the number wrong? It's like 70% or something like that. Keep going. Keep going.
Oh god, the doll.
Yeah, that doll's horrific.
That's a beautiful doll we're looking
at. There should be a percentage sign around here somewhere. Oh, there we go. So currently airlines must operate flights in at least 50% of their scheduled takeoff and landing slots or risk losing them. This threshold was revised down from the usual 80% when the pandemic hit in 2020, but is set to be raised up to 64% from the end of March until the end of October 2022.
Lose them to who?
Well, I don't know.
Kind of like in this circumstance, it's a really good question, because that's the problem, is that this is some kind of like a weird artificial application to apply stability to a market, right? Yeah. Where when the market begins to shift and the demand for these flights drops, they need to artificially maintain supply, and so everyone needs to artificially maintain supply together, even though there's no danger of anyone else overtaking that space, because there's no space to overtake, because again the demand is zero.
Right. Yeah.
It's incredible. I love watching like these like attempted self-stabilization things. They're so fucking funny. Quotas are the dumbest fucking things in the universe.
Oh yeah, I remember growing up next to a cornfield, right?
Hell yeah.
And
how many bodies did you find in that?
I bet you did grow up next to a cornfield, John.
I'll grow you up next to my cornfield.
Well, not all of my life, but I lived near a cornfield, and we would go by it, and they would grow the corn and it would die on the stalk.
Yeah.
And then they would mow it over, re-till the soil, grow the corn, and and just let it die on the stalk.
Yeah.
And you would get arrested if you fucking trespassed on that property. But they never actually harvest the corn. And so like when we were kids, we had all kinds of conspiracy theories about like the government making zombie corn and fucking whatever stupid shit. And then you grow up and you just find out that there's corn subsidies.
Yeah.
So there's just 500 acres of fucking like land being wasted.
Wasted by a crop that like destroys the soil it's grown in, by the way.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And the fact that we make everything out of fucking corn.
Right.
But we don't use that corn because that corn's just grown, so we get the corn subsidy.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
So we're not even turning it into Starbucks cups or whatever.
Yeah.
But with jets, so it's even crazy. It's even crazier.
Yep.
Well, it's even funnier because there was so much talk for so long, and I'm not sure how much of this is the case. I know at least some percentage of it is, but I'm sure it's offensively low. But there was a lot of talk, in like 2008, about trying to develop like ethanol-based fuel for airplanes out of corn, which is like, if you know anything about any of this stuff, is fucking insane.
Yeah.
It just this bizarre idea. So yeah, using corn to stabilize this, it's all awesome. I love it. And all these flights are going to be used for corn executives.
Green capitalism, always a real thing, not completely fucking made up. Not a grift.
I mean, it's green, Mike.
But the 80-20 rule, as it's normally known, is about allocating scarce airport capacity efficiently.
No, can I explain what this is? The 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule is you're allowed to eat cheeseburgers on the weekend so long as you're like eating salad during the week.
Yeah.
It's a really good way to keep yourself like in decent shape, still getting to like eat like an asshole. That's the 80-20 rule.
The Weight Watchers. This is the Weight Watchers of
this is actually something I used to do. Sorry, I'm an idiot and need to shit post.
It's okay.
It's okay.
So it's about allocating scarce airport capacity efficiently, says the International Air Transport Association. Gives airlines the security to advertise tickets almost a year in advance, allowing customers to book trips in the long term. I don't understand how promising to like remove flights if you don't maintain 80% of your flights, like gives airlines the security to reserve tickets in advance. I don't think that doesn't make sense, really.
I mean,
because it's only
flimsy.
to fulfill their it's only to fulfill their arbitrary rule that this many flights has to be maintained, right?
Well, that it's that those it just promises that those flights in the future will be scheduled at all,
sure,
right? And so if you're saturating the plan for the next year out because you need to saturate it, then you have a promise that those flights will happen. But also, it would probably be good if we had less flights scheduled to happen anyway, especially like out a year.
Yeah.
What if crazy idea? Sorry to interrupt you, but what if this is one thing that maybe the libertarians and I will agree on? What if we let the market decide how many fucking flights leave an airport? What if people buying tickets determined how many flights there fucking are?
That's kind of what I meant with what I was saying.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
This 80-20 rule is just arbitrary to like. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's a backwards way of allocating these flights. The flights should be allocated by demand.
Yeah, and no one needs to plan, and I've done it before, so I know that you don't need to. but no one needs to fucking plan a flight out a year in advance. No. You only do that because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
But then you if you didn't have year in advance options for these flights, then trust me, they want to fill them anyway. Prices would adjust.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, like, what? Why are people going on business trips?
Yeah, business trips are the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah, this is stupid as shit.
Well,
and especially when it's just a meeting. Like, I get when it's like, so an expert of something is going to come in and train your staff. I get that.
Versus, I need to shake hands with a Japanese man.
without orientalizing it, as Dwayne was do you think that hookers can suck you off over Zoom?
That's because
the business trip is exclusively with the intent of getting a hooker from a location that you think is exotic in some way.
I mean, it really is like it's about the regime of affect that I was pointing out, which is that it's you need to inflate everyone's importance by I traveled 1,000 miles in order to be here today to do this important
shaking your hand and swap spit with your hookers.
Yeah, but
I'm a man
is
of your
also
lands
absolutely about that kind of pleasure thing, because these people are also like flying first class and stuff like that, and so it's an excuse to go to an airport and get people to blow you metaphorically for a couple hours so that you can get dropped off somewhere to get blown literally for
and then
days.
If you're one of the Bush brothers, I forget which one it is. It's the one that hasn't been in the news very much because it's not Jeb or George.
Jorb. It's Jorb.
I forget which Bush brother it is, but the black sheep of the family.
It's the new one
that got divorced because he kept on accepting blowjobs in foreign countries.
Oh, the actually stupidest one.
Yeah, not the two dumb ones that we're like unfortunately very aware of. I forget his name, but
is it Goshua?
Goshua. Gee, Goshua. Speaking of international stuff, and we're doing a thing where John looks stuff up. The stupidest.
While he looks it up, I mean, how else are business people going to figure out where the best Coke is if they're not flying all over the U.S. having important meetings and conventions?
I can't spell I'm the stupidest.
Yeah, you misspelled stupidest.
The most stupidest Trump, Bush.
Yeah, see, you typed it in wrong.
Did the other Republican.
Just look up Bush.
Jeb Bush is dumb as it is idiot, brother.
You typed in brother. Bush brothers. Marvin, or I think it's Neil Bush actually is the one.
God damn, dude. Oh man, he looks like he rules.
Yeah. Well, he's the American businessman. Yeah, I think this is the one.
Oh, so he looks like a Bush Senior. So he's the one that's the biggest pussy.
Yeah, that's fair. Man, what a cool family of cowards.
So without going down the Bush rabbit hole. Next link. Yeah. Again, assorted topics. Ghislaine Maxwell may accidentally be let off the hook because of a technicality involving a juror who, after the trial was concluded, admitted that he was a victim of sexual assault, which of course is a very serious thing. But for some reason, people who were victims of sexual assault can't be impartial jurors in this case, I guess, which is just a dumb fucking like rule to begin with. That like, oh, you were genocided. How could you possibly oversee this genocide trial?
I mean, I'm gonna be real. I got diddled when I was a kid, and I think I would have no problem with telling that Ghislaine Maxwell's guilty.
Yeah. Well,
I think I do a very good job of
that seems to be the problem is that you would be okay with that.
I'd be more like, oh man, that's fucked up that she fucks kids. That we should, and she helps other people fuck kids.
Yeah, I was gonna say she mostly trafficked them.
She's not cool enough to.
Yeah, I think do the thing. They only proved that she fucked one of them.
I think that may be true. I mean, who cares at this point what's true about this case?
Oh God, yeah, no, exactly.
The connection that she has to someone who was actually a convicted pedophile before he mysteriously killed himself. And this is before the second time he was, under trial for being a kitty fucker.
Yeah.
And who was the fuck? Whatever happened to the guy who fucking dismissed all those charges? He worked in the Bush administration.
Jim Acosta.
Right?
He became a Trump he was the Trump financial advisor or something like that. Or no, it was like Jobs or something like that.
Something like that.
I mean, Jobs and finance are pretty connected. But so Jim Acosta, who was the guy that was like, all right, we won't prosecute you because you've already been convicted of being a pedophile.
Yeah.
We won't prosecute you on all the other things we could possibly prosecute you on because you're a billionaire. Really is what it came down to.
But Mike, sorry, this is a totally different subject, so I apologize. But I was thinking that we would do some kind of like a cook-off like we used to do, and we would bring people in and they would judge, like how good our hamburgers are, right? And what we need to do though is we need to make sure that no one that's judging our hamburgerers has ever been hungry before. Okay.
Or even has just never had a hamburger before.
Yeah. Well, what I like to do before
this is my first time eating a hamburger.
is I hand them a hamburger and then I ask them, is this the first time you've gotten food poisoning? That was way funnier in my head.
Well, it was still a little funny.
It was pretty funny. I'm a funny guy, guys.
Oh, sorry. It was Alexander Acosta. Jessica has pointed out in the chat. Jim Acosta he's a news reporter. I accidentally called Jim Acosta a pedophile when we don't have any
proof. A known pedophile.
He works for MSNBC, I think. So, who knows?
I mean, allegedly, a lot of people are pedophiles.
Yeah. Not surprised, but yes, it was Alexander Acosta. Thank you, Jessica.
Alexander Acosta Cortez, famous pedophile.
Oh no. HC 80/20 rules is what my tech bro brother-in-law lives by. And also asked what I'm drinking. I'm back on vodka and cranberry juice. I got over my rum kick, and then last week whiskey and Sprite kick.
Whiskey and seltzer is a good combo.
Yeah, well, it was a 7
I
and
like
7,
that.
so classic.
Nice.
So that's all we need for this link. Let's go to the next link, where we learn, more justice is really occurring in our world.
It's the just world. It's the best of all worlds.
They blocked us.
Oh man.
Oh shit. Okay, here we
go. Oh shit.
So Ghislaine Maxwell may get off on a technicality, also on kids.
Is it just is she like maybe getting off, or are they just doing a mistrial?
Well, a mistrial.
Okay.
But then
they'll do it again. She'll just never be officially guilty over like this 20-year series of like new trials.
Well,
that's how
there's a
yeah.
I think, is there a limit to mistrials?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it stands to reason that if you have a mistrial in the second trial, like if something doesn't pass, the sniff test or whatever, if a juror comes out and says, "Oh yeah, I was touched once as a kid and I felt weird about it," they can call that a second mistrial. And then
But I mean, either I can see a justification for allowing a court case to continue beyond a mistrial, or like double jeopardy, saying that somebody gets off. I guess that's something that we'd have to look up.
Yeah, but like a mistrial wouldn't end up bringing up the double jeopardy issue, because
that it's like, okay, well, if they can't find a fair jury, society,
I mean, that's a huge
the
society
problem, right? To get justice, the victims and society get to get justice, or do we let the person go?
Right.
So I think that there could be a justifiable balance of either saying you can mistrial to infinity, you can mistrial until you stop prosecuting, or you mistrial until you just say, go with what this jury said.
I mean, it is ultimately the prosecutors that get to decide whether or not this is going to be brought to court at all. And so I guess at a certain point, if you had enough mistrials, they could just say, we're not going to push it anymore. But I can't imagine that would ultimately occur here. But I do have, well, maybe it could. I don't know. Anything could happen in God's land. But what I've decided to do is I'm starting a business. And it's a small law firm. And all we do is we hire lawyers who are willing to shit their pants, so that as they're not interrogating, Jesus Christ, as they're cross-examining a witness, they just shit their pants and it dribbles down their leg, and then they immediately say, "Oh my God, we need a mistrial because I'm ill, and obviously no one's going to listen to me anymore, and this is no fault of my own." So
and I'm not in my right state of mind because I just shit my pants.
Yeah, now I'm really angry, and like you call someone other than the judge, probably the bailiff, a slur, and everyone's just like, "This is insane. We need to stop for the day." And then you send an apology letter, and you're just like, "Hey, I have brain worms." And then there's a mistrial that occurs there, and you just do that every time. It's like, so are you one of those lawyers that shits himself?
I gotta admit, I had thought about this before.
Yeah.
No, I had thought about this before, and I don't like the profit motive, and what you're talking about is a profitable business.
Yeah.
What I think needs to happen is if we want to live in a land where pedophiles can always get off the hook, basically everybody just needs to pitch in and start molesting all the kids, so that we can never have an impartial jury.
I mean, honestly, we're pretty close to that. Everyone has an uncle.
Yeah, I know, so, that's part of the dark joke that I'm also making. Is how close we are to that. Where most kids experience some kind of sexual violence in their youth.
I mean, that's what we get for have been so cute, you know. Like in the end, I deserved everything that happened to me.
Come on. Anyways, back to justice. Back to justice happening in the world. Prince Andrew has brought shame upon the royal family because now what's her name? Virginia Giuffre. That's the gal that's trying to charge him, I think.
I don't know, man. I purposely avoid anything having to do with the royals. I don't know shit about anything.
Well, Prince Andrew was the guy that
was on the Lolita Express.
Yeah, and he
That's
didn't sweat. You know, the charge was that, you know, the gal remembers him sweating all over her. And,
is this related to that? Then it's the Lolita Express thing? Or?
Yeah, no. This is Prince Andrew, who was famously friends with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was related to all that stuff.
No, it is.
Cool.
So go ahead and scroll down. But basically,
but he didn't sweat. I need to hear what is this? Didn't sweat.
There was a famous interview that happened with him, where one of the charges was that, you know, like when the victim was recalling the events, she remembers him being very sweaty. And Prince Andrew claims that he had a very rare condition in which he was not able to sweat.
Actually, I have a famously dry dick.
Pretty much kind of what he said. And
that's awesome. Good.
Virginia Giuffre's case is going through. A Manhattan judge ruled that they're allowed to prosecute him. It's going to be weird because he's you know, he's a British royal, but basically what the Queen did is she really gave it to him. She took away all of his military honors, and he's no longer allowed to use his Royal Highness in official communications.
Oh man, that guy got fucked.
How's he ever going to recover from essentially nothing happening to him?
Yeah.
Well, she took away his diplomatic, like, fucking red tape.
Kind of, sort of.
Now he doesn't legally have to say, "It is I, Your Highness," before he goes and fucking rapes someone.
Yeah, and so the funny thing that's happening here is what this is being seen as is the royal family distancing themselves from the situation. And since he's no longer officially a royal, he's not bringing shame to the royal name. I hate to break it to them, but that's not how reality works. He was a royal during all of those things.
Yeah,
and it was pretty widely known that he was a little bit of a guy doing stuff on the side.
So the Queen has real military authority and like real like authority within the government of Britain.
Right.
So she has to have access to some type of intelligence agency, and she didn't know that she raised a pedophile.
No. It's actually pretty widely documented that this is something that's just kind of been swept under the rug for years, and now it's gotten to the point where it can no longer be ignored. So now they're saying, no, he's not actually a royal right now, so this isn't about the royal family and all of our hiding of what he did for decades.
We had him step down from being my grandson or whatever the fuck he is.
Yeah, that's
pretty funny.
Isn't he her son?
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't care. I'm going to forget what you just said in a moment. But also, like, it is really funny trying to save the like name and reputation of, you know, something like that.
Well, the BBC has been trying to save the Queen's reputation by running a bunch of pity stories about her.
You see,
there were parties on the 1 year anniversary of fucking Prince Fuckface's death, her husband.
Cool. I mean, It's
more that the parties weren't about his death; they were just normal parties.
Oh, that's funny.
That nobody gave a shit, I guess.
You see, we here, as part of the proud British people, we would never rape individuals, only nation.
Only entire nation. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. It's pretty weird that this is the thing that they're deciding to distance themselves from. Notably, Prince Andrew really gained a bunch of honors during the Falklands War, which some of us may recognize as maybe an illegitimate war.
The Falkland Islands are pretty close to England.
Yeah, pretty close to England, Brazil.
The other side of them. But you know what they say: the sun never sets on the sexual abuse.
Ooh, sometimes though. Let's
the British Empire.
Let's switch gears to Matt Gaetz, which John had a link for. We're going in a non-pedophile arc now, I think, because Matt Gaetz is a good stand-up guy.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Oh man, it's more sex trafficking stuff.
His ex-girlfriend. I didn't know 10-year-olds could testify. They can. Obviously, they're people.
So I didn't actually read this article specifically, but however,
you watched the story or what?
No. I've read about a few different articles about the story. Apparently Matt Gaetz' ex girlfriend has been secretly testifying to the FBI for over a year to bill and to gain immunity from the crimes she might have committed to testify against Matt Gaetz, and she testified in a grand jury trial.
The whole immunity thing, obviously sucks in a lot of ways, but it does lead to situations that are extremely funny.
I will admit to all the bad things I did with this other person, as long as you punish them and not me.
Yeah. Just a bunch of assholes and perverts surrounding one sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
Just saying, he's the one with the big scary name, though.
Let's not refer to Matt Gaetz as a sacrificial lamb.
A pig?
Sacrificial butthead? Beavis? Which one is he?
Subhuman.
Yeah, he has the head of a doll.
He does, yeah.
He is
extremely
animated
outsized.
Doll.
Yeah. And then another major topic we have following up on last week is the filibuster, which is never going away. I'm so sorry to tell you.
I like
shopping that online is easy with the Zima Marketplace. Shop your favorite
I love that we're just moving on from Matt Gaetz without again bringing up his son / house slave / cousin.
If you want a fun read, look up Matt Gaetz' son / helper. Is what he called him.
Helper.
Yeah.
This is my gold digger.
Yeah.
I gotta find my daddy.
No. Yeah. No. Essentially known underage human trafficker adopts a fucking Cuban pool boy or something.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Named Hector.
Who
he originally referred to as his helper, and then later on started referring to as his son because he adopted him.
Well,
Matt Gaetz being a bachelor at the point that this happened.
You got to have a little Hector around to help you get the high school girls. That's how you attract them. You're like, you see, I have a Cuban teenager.
Yeah,
do you like that?
You got to have some soft brown fingers to tickle your taint while you pay an underage girl to let you sodomize her.
That's exactly what.
Not a personal experience thing. I'm guessing something you just heard on the street, right, John?
Yeah, no. I think it was on Matt Gaetz'
word on the street is you need a Hector.
That's what a Hector is. I heard.
Yeah. The only thing I want is a hectare of land or more, probably more, because I don't think that's very much land actually.
Should I make
a hectare is a
joke?
lot.
No Iliad jokes here.
Hectare is a lot of land.
Well, I mean, it's like a couple of acres, but like one single hectare.
I think a hectare is actually quite a bit.
Yeah, you fucking idiot. You don't know how much a hectare is? How about a cubit?
What is it?
How many cubits are
tall
are you, sir?
There's
it's equal to 100 acres. Never mind, you're right.
That's a good amount of land.
Yeah.
I want a hectare then. I go back on it. Yep.
Give me a hectare of hectares. Hectare of hectares.
Let's go back to the Durbin article. Dick Durbin, real name.
Amazing.
Has a problem with Joe Biden's fiery speech about the filibuster.
Yeah.
If we could actually play the video, which we'll have to silence that ad maybe. You know what? Start playing it, and I'm just gonna silence the stream that I'm watching.
Oh shit! Silence your. He clicked the ad. No, oh god, those the pop-ups.
Yeah, we're in hell now.
No, honestly, I just pulled this up for the headline because it was a New York Times article, which we don't pay for.
Honestly, okay. Yeah. So this is a different link than I was thinking about.
A couple of these are different links. I forgot to tell you because I got a little drunk before the podcast.
I also feel like people would rather listen to us than listen to these fucking idiots.
So basically, Joe Biden said, now that several of his proposed legislations have been killed because of the filibuster, and also the fact that he can't get two Democrats in line, two senators in line. Now he's open to some kind of reform to the filibuster, which is interesting to say because he knows how things work, and even filibuster reform is almost impossible at this point, and we'll get into that later. But basically, Biden said, like these incredibly racist, like voter suppression laws, they're kind of racist, and he sort of alluded to this is similar to Jim Crow era kind of things where we're not letting black people vote the same way, etc.
Yes.
And now we have a lot of Democrats in the party going, that was a little bit extreme, a little bit divisive. Dick Durbin is supposedly the Democratic Party whip, so Senator Dick Durbin, if you could go down to the body of the article,
imagine
the aren't like party whips like supposed to be like historically like zealous.
Yes.
About,
they're supposed to make motherfuckers do things.
Literally in their name is you whip people into fucking order.
Imagine how much it must like crush you existentially to be the whip for like a 4-year lame duck president / Congress / Senate. just 4 years of making sure that people do a lot of fucking nothing.
And then you don't even do that because Senator Dick Durbin from Illinois, the number 2 Senate Democrat, said Wednesday that President Biden may have gone a little too far with his rhetoric during a speech in Georgia the previous day, advocating voting rights legislation. During his speech, Biden called for the Senate to pass several pieces of legislation, including the Freedom to Vote Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, while endorsing changes to the Senate filibuster in order to advance the bills. The president put pressure on lawmakers who have opposed making changes to the Senate rules, suggesting they had a choice to side either with advocates for voting rights or historical figures who backed segregation and the Confederacy.
What a fucking Dick Durbin, am I right?
Right, yeah. So that's the whip saying, "Oh, that was a little bit too far."
Did he not actually name the 2 people that are holding it up in this speech?
No, he put it on Republicans mostly. But I'm glad that you brought up the 2 Democrats because we'll go ahead and listen to an impassioned speech from Kristen Sinema in the next link. Unless you changed it wildly on me.
Well, if he manages to convince 2 Republicans, he won't have to go through the difficult work of convincing people in his own party.
Yeah, we know that Republicans are like completely willing to work with a party that they know that they've beaten.
Yeah, desperately amenable to that. Yeah,
yeah.
It's one thing we know about the Democrats is that once you get them on their back, they never just beg to fucking suck on your toes and have you smash their balls.
Well, while
with
I'm
a hammer.
here.
While you're murdering me with your
in the spirit of bipartisanship, I would like to suck on your toes so that you know I'm not trying to offend you while you viciously mount me.
I'm so sorry you came early, Master. Could you do it again?
I've strapped my own legs into the stirrups, and my asshole is pre-greased.
Yeah. Ooh, greased. Not even lubed, greased.
Oh yeah.
So
that's for the long
it,
term.
So it lasts all night. Yeah.
I like a dry lubricant, like a
baby
graphite spray, that kind of thing.
What are you, a fucking like door lock?
I'm a
or
lock.
Something?
Yeah. I'm a master lock. You know what I'm saying?
It's got to be dry because I'm outdoors a lot. I'm so
just
sorry
that blown open.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that rules. My insides have become my outsides.
Hopefully this video has parts of Kristen Sinema's speech, so if we could play it.
Maybe.
Voting rights showdown in Washington. We have learned at this hour that Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema are meeting with President Biden at the White House tonight. But earlier today, just an hour before the president traveled to the Capitol to meet with Democrats, what Senator Sinema declared in a speech. Did she and Manchin effectively halt the president's effort on voting rights? Rachel Scott on the Hill again tonight.
Tonight, a tough blow for President Biden from a member of his own party. Less than an hour Hill to make a voting rights legislation declared she
continue to support these bills. I will not support separate actions that worsen the underlying disease of division infecting our country.
Her announcement undercutting the president's visit. And when he emerged from his meeting with Senate Democrats, the president sounding somewhat defeated.
I hope we can get this done. The honest to God answer is, I don't know whether we can get this done. But one thing for certain, like every other major civil rights bill that came along, if we missed the first time, we could come back and try it a second time.
And never get anything done.
Yeah, we're not in an election year or anything, so we've got plenty of time to get these voting rights bills passed. If these voting rights bills aren't passed within like a certain deadline, there's not going to be a massive change in the through redistricting, like we talked about
Jesus.
On the last episode. Redistricting is going to completely change how the votes matter and the votes count. There's not going to be like a red wave or whatever you want to call it. And we're never going to get these voting rights. I mean, at this point, I think we all understand neither party is actually like working in interest of us.
No,
so I'm not saying that the red wave is like any worse or better than the blue wave, because the blue wave obviously didn't do jack shit for us either. I'm just saying, like, if we were to take the Democrats on their word and say that, hey, these voting rights bills are going to allow us to actually start doing stuff, they don't actually fucking care. The fact that they're willing to so slowly walk it through the process and go like, well, if it doesn't pass this once, there's always round two. No, there's not always round two, because when round two is supposedly going to happen, we're going to have a legislative body that is just going to obviously be anti-voter. Democracy is a lie. Buy a farm, live on it, get guns. Sorry.
There's always that what he said, but gather a bunch of people together.
Yes.
But Jesus, sorry, my brain's still sick. But all I know is that there's always a second chance to stop the bleeding. You know, like you can always make things better. But Kyrsten Sinema makes a great point, and it reminds me of something that was happening with me earlier. I have I had a couple roommates, right, and one of them kept on, like, while the other one was sleeping, kept filling her eyes with like caulk from a caulking gun, like filled her eyes with caulking, and her ears also. And then I can't not laugh at this. God damn it, the whole joke is ruined because I can't keep a straight face about it. But we just like fill all of her orifices with the caulking, all of her facial ones, all the normal, not weird ones.
Yeah.
And like almost
eyes,
killed her
ears,
a couple
nose,
times.
mouth, throat.
Almost killed her a couple times. And it's really dramatic. And so they were sitting there at the breakfast table, and at this point in time they'd argued so much that they weren't even talking anymore. And so I came in and I just said, you know what, guys, I understand it. Things have been really stressful, and I don't agree with what Steve has been doing to you at night. Okay, I don't. But I am so tired of the disease of division in this household. And so, really, I mean, if it's what he wants to do,
we've all got to work together, to come to a resolution on this.
In the end, I'm not a pro-cock household, but we're not anti-cock either.
Yep. Be a good oppressed and compromise with your oppressors.
We love the latex.
Yeah.
In many ways.
Work with your oppressors is always good advice.
Yes. Become a gold digger.
Let's go ahead and skip the next link because it's going to be a lot of talking and we're running a little bit long here. So let's go to the fun stuff, which yeah.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
So make the video big.
Yes. I love this one so much.
I love that this is back.
Yeah,
dude, it keeps coming back.
I think this is the same guy that was fucking that was on a big like viral won't ruin it for the viewers and listeners.
I think you're starting a little bit late in the video, so if you can make sure it's back at the beginning. Yep, there we go.
Oh yeah, it is. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead and play it.
The antidote that we've seen now, and we have tons and tons of research, is urine therapy.
Yep.
Okay? And I know to a lot of you this sounds crazy, but guys, God's given us everything we need. Okay? Everything. And
it's
I'm going to give you, again, I test and prove all things. Okay? This has been around for centuries. We've got research after research, documented, peer-reviewed, published papers on urine.
I love that even if he didn't say any of that stuff, you'd be able to tell. Even if he didn't say anything, but the voice helps. He could stay entirely.
Are you smart? You should go for smart home insurance.
You could be standing in the corner of the room, and you could just be staring at him, and you would know this is a man that needs to drink piss to come.
Yes. Yeah.
Like it's just
he's a piss boy, good. A boy of piss. Oh, God's special little piss pig.
But I guess
and you know what?
That he needs other people to validate his drinking piss though.
Well,
that's what
it's not even validating. I'm sure he wants to feel kind of weird about it, but he wants other people to be tricked into also drinking piss. Like, I don't think it's about validation. I think it's about like, just when he goes home at night, he's sitting in his tub full of like strange, ominous fluids, and he just kind of like, and then he just kind of like looks up to the ceiling and remembers for a moment that there's probably like 4 old women like pissing in one another's eyes and like drinking it out of shot glasses. It's like cloudy and it just like strangely viscous. And then he just like blows a load into the hot water of the tub, and it like denatures like egg whites.
it curdles immediately in the fucking like salt, the high sodium fucking like
exactly
bath,
and then it immediately just starts drinking from his own font. You know what I'm saying?
So part of what I love about his argument is that he said, God's given us everything we need, and he's talking about a bodily byproduct, which makes me wonder, like, I mean, if we're talking about byproducts of like bodily functions, like, did God really give us everything we need? Because like you need like food and water, right? So you need something external that's not like weird, gross piss from your own body in order to even produce that piss. And then like God, like it's pretty clear that you're supposed to get rid of that stuff, right? Like that's why your body ejects it.
I mean, get rid of it.
If God was like an intelligent designer, which we're told to believe all the time, wouldn't there just be like an internal kind of like tube that just like runs the piss right back into you?
No. You're misunderstanding this.
Oh, okay.
You see, Mike, there was a point in human history, an antediluvian point, you could call it, right? Where we all existed in harmony with the world. It was Edenic, again, another word you could use for it. Sure. And we had everything that we needed because we knew how to be in communication with our surroundings and with our own bodies. And so there was just an inherent understanding that, in a community, like, oh my God, this little boy is dying from I'm just going to randomly say syphilis for some reason. And this child is dying.
Matt Gates got him.
Yeah, because he's this snake. And you would just be like, well, thankfully God gave me the ability to cure this child. And so you have to be able to use it for others as well, because you don't need to pee all the time, Mike, right? And so it's that ability to hold on to that type of like inherent information, because when someone says, like, we have an inherent understanding that piss is good, right? You can see it evolutionarily, where if someone walks in your house, and this happens to me a lot, but if someone walks in your house and says, this place smells like piss, this place smells like urine, I immediately know that they're complimenting me.
Yeah.
It's like, your breath smells like actual feces, and I'm just like, I know, it's the healing paste that God gave me.
The salve.
The salve. Yeah. So
bind your wounds with shit. Has historically worked in wars and other things. Yeah.
Well, when people are talking about like using honey as like an antibiotic, that's a mistranslation from Aramaic, where they were just trying to say something honey colored. They're talking about pissing in one another's wounds, obviously. But so you're just disconnected from your culture, Mike.
Oh man, yeah, no, I
as a white person,
I don't want to say that piss is my culture. I gotta be honest with you.
It's all of our culture, Mike.
I'm gonna push back on that just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem.
So,
isn't it?
I
what do you think John's drinking?
Piss.
Yeah.
Look, I've got nothing against people with piss kinks. Yeah, I do actually. Sorry.
I don't know. I think it's kind of cool.
Nah, not a fan.
Well, I mean, like a kink's different from getting on social media and trying to convince millions of people to cure diseases with your kink.
With piss,
yeah.
I don't know if you.
It is different, but I still don't think it's okay.
If two people walked up to me and one of them said,
"I support your piss fetish,"
if one of them walked up to me and said, "Man, last night I was hanging out with my partner and we just started like having a squirt gun fight, and it went on for hours, and it was just the most fun I've ever had, and we both left us so satisfied," I'd be like, "All right, dude, it's weird that you're telling me that, but it rules also, and I hope you're happy. God bless." If someone then walked up to me afterwards and said, "I drank my own piss last night because it's going to cure my cancer," I would start crying.
That is different. I will grant,
know?
but
yeah, you know, it's like
look, I'm anti-piss kink. Sorry, I had to come out this way.
Yeah, like the human centipede. You know, that guy was okay because it was a kink. You know, he wasn't trying to cure anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine when you take people and you without consent make them participate in your kink. That's good.
Yeah. No, I mean it's to cure the syphilis that Matt Gates gave all those kids.
Yeah. On the British Royal Navy Express.
Yeah, with Prince Henry or Harry.
Into the little St. James Island.
Yeah.
The Edenic antediluvian paradise.
Yeah, selling adrenochrome to fucking Joe Biden and
Your
Donald Trump.
Stripy little ice cream hut.
Stripy little weird Greek Persian ice cream hut.
It all goes back to the
Greco-Persian?
movie.
Is that like an architectural type? I don't.
It sounds racist, but I think you're right.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and go to the next link. Done talking about piss for a little bit.
Oh man.
I doubt
Are
it.
you sure?
Yeah, you sure?
Monoclonal antibodies.
Make the video big, John, please.
Big boy video.
You know, if you've gotten COVID 4 to 7 times, your piss is probably the best vaccine.
Yeah.
This is Joe Rogan taking a hard L on his
taking the piss out of
for you a hard P.
But basically, Joe Rogan continues to misunderstand what I mean. He learned probably the biggest word that he's ever learned in his life, which is myocarditis.
Myocarditis.
Myocarditis. Sorry, I didn't even learn it. I guess. Which isn't that serious of a condition. It can
inflammation
happen
of the heart.
Yeah, it can happen naturally in like a lot of different circumstances. But for some reason, Joe Rogan has decided to latch onto this as like a reason for young men and especially young children who are boys to not get the vaccine because it has a slightly increased chance of myocarditis in young boys. And then he gets fact checked by his guest, who I assume will never be back on the podcast ever again. And then also young Jamie, doesn't help Joe here. So let's go ahead and watch this video.
Just one really, really quick thing while I remember it is that, and I can't believe I don't hear this used very often, but oftentimes when people are talking about the symptoms that come off of the vaccine and like different problems that it could give you, like these are by and large like also the same problems that the virus fucking gives you, right?
Because less intense.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. The vaccine gives it to you less intensely.
Right.
And one of the reasons is that like, and there are all these weird articles that I've been sent because people are fucking just want to drive me crazy, talking about how it's like you actually have a drop in your ability to make like certain immune related proteins, like when you end up getting the vaccine, which is true, but the reason it's true is because the spike protein ends up causing a problem with the production of these other proteins. And guess what also has the spike protein? The fucking virus.
Yeah.
Right. And so like
that is a good point.
Yeah. So like, myocarditis, I would believe, I'm like 99%, I haven't even looked into this, but myocarditis, I'm pretty sure is probably a symptom of COVID.
Is it just me, or did the neon sign artist not try when they made
it gets dumber every time I see it. Like it looks like it belongs in a Disneyland restaurant now.
No, I mean like I've seen bar signs like shitty fucking like fucking bar signs that
this looks like shit you would see in a Chili's.
Yeah.
And an 18-year-old making $12 an hour fucking made this sign.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he's making $3 an hour because the Texas shut down all neon sign regulation. No, sorry, but just to bolster that last point that I made, and then I'll shut the fuck up. Is just that, I think that the not hysterical, but like the weird focus that liberals have on like trust the experts and shit is cringe and stupid, and all that. And like, I am someone that is extremely critical of science. Like, if you've ever sat down and talked to me for any period of time, or like read anything that I've written, but having a very basic degree of scientific literacy would probably be helpful for people, because like, I have a lot of critiques of like painting too, but
being able to draw lines is a good thing.
Yeah, it's useful to know about shit.
And being able to like
the fact
orient
that you have
the space or whatever.
Yeah. And the fact that the vaccine exists at all, whether or not it does exactly what you think it does or want it to, means that there's some kind of operating theory that functions behind this. And doctors do exist and shit like that. So you should probably learn some of this shit. And it's not, I've spent a lot of time reading about this stuff just because of my own like individual like background and experiences and stuff. But it's not that fucking complicated, a lot of it, like the basic concepts.
Really not.
And a lot of it boils down to just like basic logic of, okay, the mRNA vaccine does what? It makes your cells produce the spike protein so that it's able to do other things. And so generally speaking, if the spike protein is the problem, then the virus, which also has the fucking spike protein, is going to cause the same fucking problem, but worse. It's mind blowing to me.
One of the problems that I've seen a lot, and this is hopefully the last point we'll make before we watch this video,
because the spike protein is the worst part, obviously. Sorry.
People seem to think that their DNA is sacred in some way,
dude.
That your DNA doesn't like constantly change with like variations of like slight like
just get ravaged by everything.
Yeah, your
Show
DNA,
me your telomeres.
Your DNA is constantly being altered, basically with every experience that you have in your life, and people have to come up with these like science fiction sort of like interpretations of what DNA alteration is, where it's like, if you alter my DNA, am I gonna grow a pussy, or am I gonna grow like a second set of limb? No, that's not what your DNA really does at all. And alterations in your DNA are constant versus or in the context of like what climate you live in, what kind of foods you eat, whether or not you've had contact with a virus can change your DNA. So your DNA constantly fucking changes.
Yeah, and it sucks because there was such like it became a new fad for a while, and I don't hear people talking about it. Oh, see, actually Madison just brought it up, but people used to talk all the time about like how interesting this newish field of epigenetics is. And it is, but it became like the new quantum mechanics for like tech bros to talk about, like how we could change the world.
Right.
But people for like just a moment in time began to understand that like, just because something is identifiable, I just made a meme about this, just because a thing is identifiable doesn't mean that it's bad necessarily, right? And that like methylating a gene or something like that is going to have some kind of effect, but it could be good, it could be bad, it could do all the sorts of different things, and that your genes, through either epigenetics or through like their own mutations of the genes themselves, do all sorts of different shit. And also mRNA is a different thing, and it's just it's a very different thing from DNA.
RNA is like DNA when you say it.
And just like people don't understand very simple cell biology, which is
that
another thing that's like startling.
Is the powerhouse of the cell.
That's the only thing we know.
Thing anybody knows or remembers, because it's the only thing you walk out of in high school. As far as biology is concerned,
I want to everyone come onto the Discord and join our sci-fi chat. So we can
Discord.
So I can continue talking about this.
I need to get sucked down more rabbit holes on bad building.
He'll talk about building. I'll talk about this stupid shit. John will ignore us because he doesn't love us.
We have lots of smart people in the Discord actually who are having really nice conversations.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
You know,
Go ahead.
I should probably just actually get a Discord on my phone.
Yeah.
So that I can talk to you guys when I should be working.
Yeah, I intentionally don't have it on my phone because I don't want to be sucked into that. So I have operating hours on Discord because it's whenever I'm done with work for that day is when I'll finally hop on. Let's watch this clip. Joe Rogan taking a big L on his own podcast.
Young boys in particular. There's an ad.
Wait, and is he talking to Matt Gaetz?
He's not talking to Matt Gaetz.
Okay. He said young boys.
Young boys.
Joe Rogan is
taking
possibly the only pedophile or non-pedophile.
I was gonna say
that we talked about tonight.
Of all of the things you could say about Joe Rogan that are stupid and true,
he's not a pedophile.
He's not a pedophile. He's the one person in media that's not a pedophile.
Well, the one person that we talked about tonight that's not a pedophile.
He's the only person in the world that's not a pedophile.
Well, so what I'm not sure what you guys' opinions are. Is Joe Rogan insidious, or is he just that dumb friend?
He's just a dumb friend. He's the smartest dumb person, the dumbest smart person, smartest dumb person.
He's a dumb friend that should honestly know better in a lot of circumstances.
Oh, for sure.
Because he very intentionally does not push back on certain subjects.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's the perfect example of the tendency to not want to have fights with people the same way you have them on the internet when you speak to them in person.
I mean,
right? But he's not a journalist or anything. He's just a guy that likes chatting with people, and so he got sucked into the wrong group of weird conservative guys because he wanted to be anti-PC and he likes conspiracy theories. And now every time someone comes up to him and says, "I don't know that black people are people," he's just like, "That's crazy, dude."
Yeah, well, where'd you come about that theory?
But if you bring up weed, he'll have a fight with you about that. He cares about the right things.
But at the same time, he kind of knows how to shut the fuck up, because if Matt Gaetz was on here, he'd be talking about how he snuck fucking Hector into the country to fucking pick up a 17-year-old girls for him.
Yeah. I just think he's kind of dumb. I think he's a little nefarious, in a way, but he's also kind of a good guy. And I don't know. Everyone's complicated, but I think he's mostly just kind of dumb and
just an idiot.
Other
definitely
assholes.
The stupidity rules here.
Yeah. Never explain with malice what you can explain with stupidity.
Yeah, the stupidity and I would say an actual lack of any kind of agenda, which it's not always good to not have an agenda of some kind.
No. His agenda is I'm a dude.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely an agenda, though, right?
Sure, but on a lot of subjects, it's kind of just I don't know what to think about this. So, yeah, go ahead, white supremacists, say whatever you want.
But that's also why. So all of this stuff falls into, because everything is ideology, right? And so because this ideology can be absolutely just boxed into dude. Some qualities of this ideological system are an obsession with the ability for people to say offensive stuff, a kind of dorkish curiosity about only specific cool things, having a very certain kind of hierarchical understanding of basic things whether or not you're allowed to be good at kickboxing, and just sorting out little mechanisms of stuff, and a lot of this stuff ultimately on its own, even the hierarchical one in certain degrees in certain ways aren't necessarily harmful, but then you plug him just wanting to be a dude into a whole bunch of people that are we have to venerate the housewife and make sure that we keep our families safe from the brown people down south. He becomes a beautiful conduit for all sorts of actually harmful stuff.
Right.
And it's trans people are I don't know, not people or whatever the fuck. Danko said trans rights. I don't know. It just Yeah. It's like people affect people's opinions and thoughts, and even innocent people become complicit in the awfulness of other people, because that's just how this shit works. Inshallah.
Let's go ahead and finally play this clip.
Yeah, sorry.
Adverse risk associated with the vaccine. It's like a 2 to 4-fold increase in the instances of myocarditis.
Yes, but you know what?
Hospitalization.
You know that there's an increased risk of myocarditis among that age cohort from getting COVID as well, which exceeds the risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true. No. I don't think it's true that there's an increased risk of myocarditis from people catching COVID that are young versus increased risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
No, there is. There's both.
Well, let's look that up, because I don't think that's true. Myocarditis more common after COVID-19 infection than vaccination. But is this with children?
Already, we're moving the goal.
We're talking about young people.
Men and boys aged under 30 after this is what it says here.
With children is the issue.
Which, like, male puberty ends at, like, 25.
No, just play the video, John.
Well, no, we were talking about
this is all going to be.
Well, we're talking about young children.
Male, yes, 12 to 17.
12 to 17, more likely to develop myocarditis within 3 months of catching COVID at a rate of 450 cases per million infection. This compares to 67 cases of myocarditis per million at the same time following their second dose of Pfizer.
Yeah, so you're about 8 times likelier to get myocarditis from getting COVID than from getting the vaccine.
That's interesting.
Now,
that is not what I've read before, but also it's like...
That's my favorite shit.
Well, even when we're reading these things, it's like, what are we getting this from? Was this from the VAERS report? Like, even from the VAERS reports, when they report this stuff, it's like the amount of people that report, it's the underreporting.
Oh my God!
So the last thing I would like to say is that VAERS is a publicly available reporting system, which does not have any vetting whatsoever. So you could just be like, I got the vaccine and I died. And that's now in the VAERS reporting system. How did you put that in the VAERS reporting system as a person who was dead? Nobody knows, but it's in the VAERS reporting system. So VAERS doesn't matter. VAERS is just something where you can publicly report that you had some kind of medical procedure or some kind of disease infection and X happened afterwards. It's open to the entire public. So literally, like I said, you could go on there and be like, I got the vaccine and I got boils that formed on my ass, and then tentacles
when they burst, they turned me gay.
Of my penis. So VAERS is not a real thing. The actual scientific reporting is that you have a higher chance of getting myocarditis if you get the vaccine, or if you get COVID, than if you get the vaccine. So, and as in all things, it's more mild when you get it through the vaccine than it is when you get it through the disease, because the disease is actually trying to fucking kill you.
Yeah, I don't understand the basic inability of people to just think through this very basic equation where. Okay, actually, here's a really great metaphor for it. Okay. So, I got locked out of my car, and there is a gorilla inside of it.
All right.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I allow the gorilla to remain inside of the car, it will smash the windows and tear out the seats, and then tear off the doors, and then shit all over the inside of it, and then drink all my gasoline. Right.
That's a fucking badass gorilla.
Fuck yeah, dude. I mean, listen to Joe Rogan, you'll learn all sorts of shit about how cool gorillas are. But I have the option of risking, or not even risking, but just performing one of these mechanisms, and I can break the window.
Yeah.
And I know that this species of gorilla will simply leave the car. Right. So the fact that there's one mechanism that they have in common, and that this thing that we're trying to avoid has all of these other mechanisms of hurting you,
sure,
should mean that you probably go with one of them and not the other one. Right. I don't know, John, because you're not necessarily nodding. I feel like maybe I've lost Mike. He doesn't understand this stuff.
Okay.
So John, which one would you choose? Would you break the window, or would you let the gorilla work itself out?
Yeah, I mean, I think all I could do is let the gorilla work itself out all over my seats or whatever is going on in the metaphor.
Yeah. I mean, that's the opinion that I ultimately had. Sorry, Mike, I didn't want to insult you like that, but what would you do, Mike, in this situation? I mean, John and I both say let the gorilla do its thing.
I would simply believe that the gorilla doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's right.
Got him.
Man.
That is the end of the podcast episode.
The chimp eating all of our faces.
Yeah. Well, gorilla. Chimps are different. Please.
Yeah, I don't care anymore.
God damn it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is where
Chimps
we're gonna
have
end
bigger
things.
dicks, I think.
Oh, is it actually? Okay.
Yeah. Well,
what's this? Oh wait,
it's Neil Bush.
Yeah, it's Neil Bush. We already talked about this.
Yeah.
You forgot to close that window, you son of a gun. Trying to catch me like I can't see the tabs at the top. You bastard. The only link we're skipping is going to be probably like an hour-long discussion about how the Senate rules are made up. So none of us are ready for that.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised we didn't shoot ourselves over that.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll address that.
There's
later.
still time.
We'll address that later.
Okay.
Dorian, do you have anything that you would like to advertise or shout out?
Usual stuff. We actually we have another open workshop this week, as well as next week. This week is a pretty casual thing, just for hanging out. And next week we will finally be touching on the Deleuze. I haven't been able to prepare for us to meet about Deleuze, so we had to push back. But it means that we have a bunch of open space for people to just pop in if they want to. Especially this week, like I said, is a very casual thing. People kind of sharing their own stuff, just kind of hanging out. So if you go to patreon.com/Truncata, TRUNCATA, or if you just hit up Mike or myself, it's ultimately free if you want it to be. Otherwise, we'll take a donation and then give it to someone to pay their rent or something. It's varied, but we give the money away. I'm going to be going on to Schizotopia again in the near future to talk about the new Matrix movie, as well as all of the Matrix movies, as well as another movie. It's all surprise, but you should follow them if you haven't already. Really fun conspiracy theory, weird shit podcast. Max, the host, is a lad, an absolute lad, and he's really fun to talk to. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
I think that's all for me. Yeah.
Cool. Same stuff as usual with me. You can follow me at Benzo Rehab Dungeon, which you probably already are if you're watching the podcast or listening to the podcast. As always, the Benzo Rehab Dungeon aims to be a free, well, not aims, will always be a free broadcast.
We're trying to make it freer.
Yeah, trying to make it freer every day. But if you would like to support this, please go to patreon.com/Benzo Rehab Dungeon. Any support you give can only help further this project. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to advertise. John, do you have anything?
No, I'm just going to continue to secretly doomsday prep instead of produce content.
Hell yeah.
So no, yeah.
Cool. I actually do have one last thing, which is that go on to Instagram if you're one of those people and follow Operaciones Editorial.
Yeah.
This is it's a small publication focusing on architecture, art, and architectural philosophy. And actually, Mike and I are both working on publications for them. But even before that comes out, you should follow them. And yeah, they're very cool. They have a great page, and the work that they do is really gorgeous. So yeah, check them out. Operaciones.editorial.
Cool. Yeah. With that, as always, we love you. Please take your medicine.
Please take mine too.
And make sure to share some with your friends.